for instance, Dion.
Right.
You think I need to interview Dion
No.
to know what we are there and what have you? So my point is that the facts are this is a process that had the benefit of a lot of time spent with a lot of different coaches. I spent a lot of time talking to coaches that have coached here before during this.
Can you talk about that conversation with Dion? What was that about? Was this a filling out process, or was that a serious coaching conversation?
Just a conversation about the team and about where he is and his boys, conversation with his boys, that type of conversation.
Was he a candidate at all?
Again, I've said I've talked to a lot of coaches, and Dion has a job.
Jerry, you said this is as big of a risk as you could take, a guy with no head coaching experience.
That's a risk. That's not as big a risk, but that's a serious risk.
Why ultimately? What was the moment that made you feel this was the right move?
When you realized the risk was worth the potential rewards.
Was there a moment in these last couple of weeks where
Not necessarily a moment, but certainly there was a time when I said, let's go, we're going that way. But I wouldn't say that was a product of any light going off or what have you. It was a culmination of and the digesting of a lot of the issue.
When did you decide you wanted to interview Brian?
Well, I was talking to Brian about about calling plays. Frankly, immediately after the season was over, about calling plays.
So after you parted ways with Mike McCarthy, when did you feel you would interview Brian?
I interview all the coaches, and so when my season's over.
Jerry, you're 82 years old now. Do you know of another general manager in pro sports that's won a championship at your age?
That's good to be the one who does it, if that's what it takes to do it. But I don't know, but I don't look. But I've taken more serious, tangible risks in the last 5 years than I've ever taken in my life, including the buying of the Dallas Cowboys. So risk-taking is a part of it. And as far as capability of decisions or energy, I'm leaving to go to the Senior Bowl. I'll be at the Combine. That's me flying in a helicopter, going down, looking at wells being drilled. That's me walking around this building out here. I'm a busy boy.
But for 29 years, that success, you haven't been able to get back there.
Well, but that's not the ability to have the success. I know the demarcation point between when I've had success, and I know that the next pick, if you're out there mining for gold in San Francisco back to 49ers or something like that, I know the next pick could be the gold strike.
But your fans are mad at you right now, you know.
Well, I understand that, and I'm mad at me right now, but that's not the issue. Is what are we going to do about it?
Why are you mad at you?
I'm the best man to do something about it. So that's the way it goes. When you do and live the life I live, you change the mirror. Your question should be, how many times have you changed your course? How many times have you done differently in your life for meaningful things? And the answer would be, it's a habit of doing things differently. That's what you do. When you basically work for yourself, you've got to change. There's no joy in Mudville if you're not in the mirror. There's no joy. Of what you're doing and what you're motivated by is get to be a part of, in this particular case, championship. Get to be a part of it. You know, the hardest thing about success is being around to enjoy it. That covers a lot of ground.
Why are you mad at you?
What?
Why are you mad at you?
Oh, I stay. I can, on the dime, I can get frustrated with decisions that I've made, second guessing. I do that all the time. I've done it all my life.
Jerry, has there been any conversations with Jason Witten?
There have been, but I'll just leave it at that.
Jerry, had your conversation with Pete Carroll?
Now, you're talking about within the last month.
Whenever.
Whenever. I've had a lot of conversations with Jason Witten. But
I'm
I understand.
Yeah,
and
no,
well, but let's finish the question. The answer is no.
Okay.
Jerry, how did your conversation conversation with Pete Carroll further vindicate your decision to move forward with Brian? What did he share about his experience?
Well, I got a good chance to really refresh my memory of his philosophy and his approach to coaching. And so I know that Schotty takes a lot from his approach to coaching. So for a fact, so that to a degree, every time that Pete would be a proponent of this or that, but you know that Schotty's got some of that.
Why not? A lot of fans are frustrated. Why not interview a Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn or some of those guys? Why would you not exhaust the process with some of these guys that everybody thinks are a great head coach?
Well, because I have one that is very capable in those skills that those players you just mentioned. He's got those skills. Okay, he's done that. In particular, he is uniquely qualified to coach our team. He's uniquely qualified to coach Dak. Okay, you say, well, how about Moore? Okay, and Moore, okay. Schotty's been doing this 25 years. He's got tons of experience. He's dealt with many players and quarterbacks. And so that's what I was talking about. This is a rare opportunity to have a young mind, spirit, first time, the benefits of being that. And this is my time. I've got to go. I want to show. And be emboldened by the experience that he's had for 29 years, both in communication with other players, with other coaches. It's just a rare situation. That's why I took it for the Cowboys.
But he hasn't won anything. He hasn't won anything. Schotty hasn't won anything.
No head coach has won anything. Nobody that's never head coached has won anything in the definition of, do you win it just by being the head coach? Okay, can you have had victories by being in other positions other than the head coach? I told you, this is a risk because he has not head coached, not even high school.
But as an assistant, he's never won a Super Bowl. He's never been a part of a Super Bowl.
Well, but he's been around people that have, in their own way, been a part of that. Let me just say this: every coach, every situation, you've got boxes that are empty, and you've got boxes that you check. I like the boxes that I checked with Schottenheimer. That's why I just spent this last 2 hours
How do
talking
you
about.
support him by changing how you do business? I know you talked about free agency, you talked about the salary cap, you talked about the 5-year-old card, going up there. But do you recognize that you guys need to do more in free agency to bolster this team?
Let me say this: I don't think I've ever waked up, but what I didn't have 2 or 3 things I needed to change, ever. And I'm very accustomed to jumping in the fire. Very accustomed. I do better in hard times. And so the answer is an answer to anybody that whether or not you're a risk taker, seriously, if you do some checking, you'll see that I've probably risked more financially in the last 5 years than I've ever risked my whole life put together. And so there's no reluctance here to take a risk, and this does have risk. There's no question about it. It has risk. But I like in taking the risk, I want to ride this horse.
Jerry, how much time did you spend discussing Brian with Dak Prescott, and what did he express about the possibility of this hire?
I did not discuss this hire, this head coach hire with Dak Prescott.
Jerry, you talked a couple of times about deference and how you noticed that Schotty would defer in sometimes, and Stephen mentioned that deference as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what assurances would you give to Cowboys fans that now he has this voice as the head coach, that he won't have to show that deference to you or to Stephen, and he can be his own man and speak up?
Well, first of all, I've been around a lot of my life when I took the best and used it for the benefit of your success. So I have done that. I've done it both ways. And I've said no and I've said yes. And that's what I'm motivated. I've got a lot at stake. I've got a genuine interest in the happiness of our fans. I think we all acknowledge that I do, that I have it. I have a keen interest in having the kind of success that we're specifically talking about, and that's going to the playoffs and winning. So all of that is alive and well, and there is change. There is change. But Mike did some good things, but there'll be some changes in all there.
Things ended with Mike.
Specifically, they'll address specific things such as calls, defense, practices, but they will be adjustments more often than not, rather than dramatic changes.
When things ended with Mike, how soon were you thinking about Schottenheimer, or did it just, was he at the top of the list when you said, okay, we're done with Mike, let's talk to Schotty? How did that occur?
Let's put it like this. I was thinking about Schottenheimer all the time. I was talking with Mike as to our offense and what we did on offense. It was, all the time. And as we evolved, as you got more, I did get more investigative, more looking into the idea of him being head coach.
Jerry, you made it clear that you're aware what's coming from frustration national, what people are saying. One of the latest things to kind of get traction, Michael Irvin's comments about this is becoming not America's team. What would your comments be to that?
Okay. I've had comments that make that look like child's play. That would bother me. Okay, that goes with the territory. It just goes with the territory. Whether it's a former player, I think the world of Michael Irvin. Everybody knows that. But that's good. Michael and I both enjoy together having a lot of heavy criticism.
Jerry, when you see this type, when you
put
see
the
this,
staff together,
So he's not adverse from it either. So that goes with it, man.
as he puts the staff together, is there a possibility Witten could join his staff?
What?
As he puts the staff together, is there a possibility Witten could join his staff?
I'm not going to address staff today, and certainly Jason is an outstanding coach.
During your conversation with Micah at the Cotton Bowl, what did you guys get out of that conversation, you and Micah Parsons?
It was more about his going forward and his leadership, and how big a thing that is with his really unique contribution that he makes with his talent and on the field, and that he's just by where he is, he's got a chance to really lead here.
Did he give you assurance that he's going to be here for OTAs and off
What?
season? Did he give you assurance that he's going to be here for OTAs and off season and stuff like that?
We didn't even talk about that.
You mentioned Schottenheimer calling plays and how that was something you wanted to see. Is that something that is going to be a possibility going forward, no matter who the offensive coordinator is?
He'll be calling plays.
Jerry, when you see the negative reaction of the last few days from the fans, how does that make you feel? And when you think about the emotions you had when you stepped up to this podium today, what were they?
I went to school on negative comments from the fans. Go back and look at when we first got involved with the Cowboys. And just like the game itself, there's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage of it. Most of it is football itself is absolutely work, pain. It's just you endure it. When I first got the team at a time that what got me through that was just the thrill of being involved in the NFL and the thrill and the future look at being involved with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm doing the very same thing right now, and I don't need as much of it because this is child's play compared to the way it was in those years.
Does it feel like a me against the world type of moment?
Not really, because it's obviously not me. It's this team. It's what we've got a show to do. There is no question in my mind that we don't win. We don't win the polls today. I know that. When we got ready to build that stadium, okay, we hired this great guru, and he came in and said, in order to get this stadium vote, you're going to have to resign and leave the Cowboys. You'll never get it done staying. And I said, well, what is the use of me planning on what to do and you have your input if I'm not around? And so all we did was have the best vote to build a stadium ever in the United States, and got it done. So much for that. It gave me inspiration, and probably was good just to hear that, because we just got out and worked and got the stadium. That's been the story of my life. And I promise you that adversity staring in your face is a major motivator. And I've been blessed. I've got so many wonderful things that I get to be a part of. Really, one of them is right here today, to be very candid with you.
Is that what
Okay,
brought the emotion?
and so I cheat. When it gets too hot, I switch over and remember the things that I like the most, or even spend time around the things that aren't quite so hot. But I'll get back to the hot spots.
You ready to
What brought
retire
up the
anytime
emotion?
soon?
No, not at all.
What brought up the emotion today when you started? When your first comments, you were very emotional at the very beginning. What welled that up in you?
Well, I really think that it's never left. I think it was an emotional thing to buy the Cowboys. It certainly wasn't prudent financially. As a matter of fact, anybody that had ever looked at them thought you were crazy. The league was not up, it was going down. There were so many things, but I got involved emotionally. Now, what you'll do is if you have the emotion, then you can make a good or bad decision. But the emotion will motivate you enough to turn a bad decision into a good one. And so that's where I'm going, okay? We could be making bad decisions right now, but I'm really motivated. I want our fans to really know I am motivated. Now, they know I can't write a check because they know I would if it assured me a Super Bowl. But there's going to be about 99 9/10% of these hires not win a Super Bowl and be getting another job. So it's hard to do. But I want to do it because it's the art of the deal.
Are y'all behind it all in the personnel department as far as looking for needs for next year because of this process? And what do you need? What does this team need? Where are your goals at? You said you're going to the Senior Bowl. What are the needs for this team?
Again, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into it because it's competitive, number one. And number two, you can read the papers and see pretty good where it is. But I'm not going to go into it because that creates I need it at the right set of circumstances. We needed things this year, but the circumstances weren't right in our judgment to get some of those things. And so a year like this year caused you to say, well, you know what, maybe you ought to change your definition of whether you need that there or not. Now that is cricket. That's good. Jerry, are you willing to change what you thought you needed from before? And the answer is, of course. Do it all the time.
Jerry, what do you know that other people don't? Because the last 3 years, no one else has brought in Brian Schottenheimer to interview for their head coaching position.
Well, it's what I know that I didn't know before he was brought in 3 years ago. And the facts are that a combination of what our team thinks of him, a combination of what key people on our team think of him, a combination of just pure touching the hot points for the kinds of things that motivate people. And I know that he's had his nose blooded. I call it, he's not only been shot at, he's been shot at and hit. Now, if that guy is young, healthy, and ready to go, that's who you want in a foxhole, not one that hadn't been shot at or shot at and hit. You want somebody in there. He has. He has. I like his fundamentals. We spent some time up there talking about those today. His lineage. I like his style. I think he's got the makings of somebody that could step out and write his own story and get that Super Bowl for the Schottenheimer family.
Jerry, you have told us multiple stories about different decisions where you and Steven haven't always been on the same page. You've shared some colorful moments. What was this process like between you two?
Well, it was just as you would hope it would be. We discussed. We don't agree on everything. There's the proper deference. You know I can be a bully. To paraphrase the Father's prayer, don't let me be, because he loves me, and he will let me bully. Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. And so the point is that we have a good working relationship. A lot of people I talk to will tell you that one of the things that is pretty impressive is that the world knows how hard it is for families to work together. Okay, well then how does that work? And so believe you me, we aren't where we are today if, as it turns out, my 3 children hadn't thought of the ideas and executed on them in so many ways. And so this is their show too.
You spoke after the finale about how you had originally bought this team for yourself, not for your kids. But how do you think about a future of the Cowboys beyond yourself and how ready your kids are to carry that forward?
Well, first of all, as far as legacy, or not legacy, that sounds storied. As far as operational, I'm as content if I got hit by a car tomorrow that the management of the future has been prepared, been through it, had their ups and downs, certainly had some success, and certainly had their share of failure. I'm prepared for all of that. I'm fortunate that my family has that right there. But what is important to me, as much as anything, is and should be to our fans, is how we're operating right now. And I do get serious input that can be opposite from what I'm thinking. One quick story. I was evaluating buying the Cowboys. We'd been there 3 weeks. I had a room full of accountants and attorneys. Stephen was in the room. And so I step out of the room one afternoon, and the owner that we were in his office that owned the Cowboys at the time waved me in. And he said, Jerry, my clock's ticking. I want you to go home tonight and tell me you're going to buy, or whether or not you're going to buy the Cowboys. Go home tonight, or otherwise I'm moving on. Well, I went in and I said, well, Mr. Bright, we've got a lot of work to do. I went in, and my advisors and everybody laughed. They said, are you serious? They said, first of all, we think you're going to be in court 10 years because there's a lot of dangling participles here, a lot. Secondly, we haven't even gotten our hands around some of the major issues. What I think you could end up doing is take your life's financial and have it tied up in for years, and not even be able to pick the coach. Don't be ridiculous. I went home, didn't sleep good, got up the next morning, thought about it, reached over there, and there was a piece of paper on the desk, and I put $150 million on it. Stuck it in my pocket, went in. Sure enough, when I got to the office, Mr. Bright waves me in there, and he said, you think about what I said last night? I flipped that piece of paper out there, and he looked at it, stood up and shook my hand, and said, you just own the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, well, make no mistake about it, I'd burn a hole in the specific Dallas Cowboys. But what I didn't need to check is how bad and how many years and how much of my life that I'd want to get in that spot. And so I did a bad business deal, but I did a passion deal. And the passion let us take a bad business deal and turn it into what we are here today, the Dallas Cowboys as it sits today. And so if you think for 1 minute, you can add it up. If you think for 1 minute, you can look at Proverbs, look at all that stuff. It doesn't go like that. I know because I really screwed up. I've just had instincts, and I had a life of passion. I really screwed up. I wrote $150 million on a piece of paper, and just walked in against all advisors, against everybody, and bought the Dallas Cowboys. So I know that you say, well, that's illogical, that's not anything. No, I'd been driving along for 20 years watching Lamar, Kansas City play in the Super Bowl, and prayed that I could, God, what a life. What would it be like to be with something like that? Okay? Schottenheimer in his own way has been doing some of that. Okay? Now, you say, well, Jerry, a lot of people dream and daydream and what have you. Well, this one's been coaching in this league for over 20 years. This one was raised by a great coach himself. I like it. I'm going with it.